Hey, what's up, you guys? This is an Ansible playbook, and it sets up Ubuntu on DigitalOcean. Um, it installs Streamlit with a demo application, listens only on localhost. It also sets up Apache as a reverse proxy, which takes care of listening on HTTPS using Let's Encrypt. And so when traffic hits the SSL port, it is then redirected to the Streamlit server that only listens on localhost. The playbook is available here on GitHub. Now let's go ahead and run through the steps of setting up a server from scratch. Okay, so I'm logged into DigitalOcean and I've got a project here with some test servers on it. And here are some previous ones that I've used: test 01, test 02, test 03. I'm going to set up test 04. So I'll go to create, droplets. Okay, so I'm going to select the region and scrolling down, the version of Ubuntu, I'm going to go with LTS for this one. And next. I'm going to select the SSH keys that I have already set up here. I'm going to go into advanced options and select add initialization scripts. So in the GitHub repository, there is a file, cloud config, which is what you can use there. The cloud config file basically does some minimal setup for the server. You could probably do some of this in Ansible. This is just the way I have it set up. You might want to change. So I'm having my username set here, so you can change that. And of course, the SSH keys that I'm going to use are set up here. These are SSH public keys that I'm going to use with the user Dharmatech. The ones that were provided over here are for the root user. Okay, now for the host name, I'm going to go with test 04. And that's it. So I'll hit create droplet, let it run, and it's creating. Okay, and it's done creating. Now I want to add an entry in DNS for this server. So I'm going to copy the IP address, go down to networking, go to domains. This is where I have my domain set up. I'm going to go with, I'm going to add the server name in here. So test 04, and I'm going to select the new server that we just set up and hit create record. Okay, now that's created. Okay, so now I want to SSH into the server just to make sure it's set up. It's the first time I'm SSHing in, and so I'm going to get this notice. I'll hit yes. All right, looks good. Okay, so back in the files that come with the in the GitHub repository for this project, there's an inventory file, and so I want to add an entry for this new server, and we'll add that in here. It's going to be just like these other ones, except it'll be called test 04. And the target, when I run the playbook, now I want it to be test 04. The fully qualified domain name is right here, so I'm going to change that. The rest of the things I'm going to leave, at least for my purposes, they work. So if you want to update them for your system, you can change the other variables there. Okay, so in this terminal here, if I log out of the test 04 system, I'm back on the Windows terminal running PowerShell. And so Ansible doesn't run directly on Windows currently as like the control server. So we need to run it from a Linux server. Or I'm going to run it from a Linux server. So on the same Windows system, I've got WSL set up. And that window is right here. Okay, so I've got the command line that runs. Okay, so I'm going to run this command. which will execute the Ansible playbook on the remote server. And you can see here I'm referencing the inventory file that we edited as well as the playbook. So I'll go ahead and hit enter there. This is the first time I'm logging into the server using SSH through Ansible from the WSL virtual system. And so it's also asking, it's giving me this notice related to SSH. So just hit yes there. And okay, it's running. Okay, so the playbook finished running. You can see all the steps it went through here. Okay, so let's try to open the site in a browser. I'll get a new window going right here. We'll do test04.dartmouth.dev. And there's the demo Streamlit application. Here's the playbook fully collapsed. In this first section, it installs Streamlit. First, it makes sure that Python 3 venv is installed, and then it uses that to install via pip Streamlit and Plotly. Now you can see it's installing these Python packages in this venv environment, which is referenced in the inventory file right here. So I've got a directory specified on the system. It's going to create that environment. Of course, so this is a new server, so since it doesn't exist, it'll create that for us. This next section is for the UFW firewall. Streamlit, in my case, is running on 8501, so I open that port. I also open up a port for SSH. Okay, this next section is for setting up Streamlit, the demo application. This step sets up the script that actually is used to run Streamlit, and you can see here I'm activating the Python environment within the script itself, which is right here, activating the Python environment, and then I'm calling Streamlit as follows. Here I'm calling Streamlit hello, which is the Streamlit demo application. In your case, obviously you'd call Streamlit on the Streamlit app that you've created or that you're using. Here I'm saying to only listen on localhost server or address. I'm specifying the port of 8501 and then setting enable course to false. Now here I'm going to set up systemd to run that script. And so in this file, we're setting the following. And you can see here exec start, it's going to reference that script that we just defined. Here it's going to do a daemon reload for systemd. Now we're going to enable the new service that we just defined, Streamlit hello there, and then we're going to start that service. If you've ever set up Apache before, these next steps for setting up Apache should be pretty self-explanatory. Here we're using apt to install the Apache 2 package. Here we're setting up some Apache modules that we'll need. We're specifying a document root for this particular virtual server. It sets up a basic index page, which is under files right here. And it sets up an Apache conf file in under sites available. And that template file is here under files. We're going to enable the new site. And we'll disable the default site right there. We're going to use UFW to open up the ports for Apache. And here's a couple of handlers for reloading and restarting Apache. Okay, this next section is for setting up Let's Encrypt. So here we use apt to install these packages, certbot and Python 3 certbot Apache. And this is the step where certbot is run. Now here, now that we've got Apache set up and Let's Encrypt set up, we're going to go back and set up the Apache SSL config. So on this step, we're basically, we have a configuration file for setting up SSL. You can see all the configuration file right there. And then we're reloading Apache. If you have any suggestions for changes to the playbook, feel free to add an issue on the GitHub site. All right, well, thank you, and let me know if you have any questions or suggestions.